Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at Binford Chronicles. We have another great episode for you today. And today's guest is Tessa Toman. She's returning. I'm so happy to have her on because she is our new and upcoming politician. She is a senior in high school and she is the president of Turning Point USA, Club America, and Turning Point Faith for Treasure Coast. Isn't that amazing? And she's got a little something that she's going to share with us today, but I'm going to leave that up to her. And we first had the pleasure of speaking with her back in December. And now, with school being out and Tessa being able to have a little time and to organize her events that she has coming up, I reached out to her and asked her to come back on and tell us what's going on. So Plus, she has I know she's got something else under the covers going on. She's going to surprise us all here tonight. So I wanted to bring her back on. She's really important to the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha generation. She is speaking for all these young adults that are having to live in today's world. We're spoiled. When we grew up, we played in the streets, even we didn't have all this surveillance. We could do things that we wouldn't tell people today. You just didn't get in trouble that easily. And today, you've got surveillance in your cars, you've got surveillance at your red lights, you've got surveillance everywhere you go. It's just a different place to be. We had a lot more freedom when we were growing up. And also, the economy is tough, and politics plays a huge role on what's affecting these young adults today. So, Tessa is really a good representation of what's going on and how these young adults need to get involved and have a voice in the country that they love and live, and to protect those liberties so that they can have a better place like we did when we were younger. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break for a small commercial. Stand by, and we'll be right back with Tessa Toman. Hi, Tessa. Welcome back.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to get you back on. I was like, school is out. I'm reaching out to Tessa. We got to find out what's going on because you are on fire.
Oh, I tried my hardest.
Yeah. So, bring us up to date with what's going on with Club America. And after that, let's find out what's going on with TPUSA Faith as well.
Awesome. So for Club America, we just finished out strong. We're going to resume in the fall. We had a whole semester full of speakers when it came to the spring. In January, we hosted Congressman Brian Mast. In March, we hosted School Board member Jackie Rosario and Martin County School Board member Amy Pritchett. And so we had a wonderful panel discussion with them. And then just previously in May, we hosted William Federer, who was a mentor to Charlie Kirk. And so that was just such a wonderful time. And we had such a big meeting, like our last one. We've just grown and grown and grown. So I look ahead to the fall. I just cannot wait. And for Turning Point Faith side of things, we're going to continue to host different classes. We just finished up biblical citizenship. So we're looking at different courses to host in the fall. And we'll still have the same speakers. I'm taking on Turning Point Faith full time in the fall. So I'm extremely excited about that. And we're going to keep doing events. I just got finished on Saturday doing the picnic at the park with the Martin County GOP. And so that was wonderful because some of the gubernatorial candidates were there. We had Congressman Byron Donalds, former Speaker of the Florida House Paul Renner, and Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins. So that was just a wonderful experience for some of our members to go out there and get to meet those political figures and to just see what was going on in our community and our state as a whole.
Wow, that's great. Like I said, you're on fire. And how's the membership going? And how can people join and get involved in these clubs?
Yes, so we're doing so great. I think we just had probably around 70 kids come out to our meeting with William Federer. So that was just so wonderful. And if you are interested in our chapter specifically, you can go to treasurecoast.tpusa@gmail.com. Send us an email. We're on Facebook and Instagram, so you can get a look at what we've been up to, all of our meetings. Our flyers will be posted on there, but we don't have the location public. So if you're interested in attending, just email us, and we would love to have you out in the fall. I'm speaking to quite a few different elected officials to come and speak for us at the state level, so I'm extremely excited about that. And then, if you're interested in getting involved with Turning Point or Turning Point Faith and you don't live on the Treasure Coast, you can go to those respective websites and they will have a map that you can look at and see what's in your area. And if you can't find anything, feel free to start one. Super easy, super great. They give you everything you need, and they are just so accommodating so that you can just go full steam into what God has in store for you.
Yeah, that's great news. We need the younger generation and leaders like you to let them know that they have a voice and that they really have an impact on everything that goes on in society and in their lives and how they can change the world. One turning
Absolutely.
point person at a time, open up another chapter, get it going. I was really excited when I heard that we had a chapter here and you were the president. I was like, damn, she's the only girl I know that can raise pigs, slaughter them and butcher them.
Right?
And look how pretty she is. She's like so
Thank
dainty.
you.
I
I
can't
try
see
my
you doing
hardest. I
that.
have like my hand in everything, right?
Yeah. So you have another little thing that's going on. Tell us about
Yes.
that.
So I have a couple little things. So I actually started my own nonprofit, Young Leaders of America. So I'm extremely excited about that. So we will be having our launch in July. I'm going to be hosting a gubernatorial forum in Port St. Lucie. I'm speaking to the candidates. I'm trying to pin down a date. I'm extremely excited about that. And my nonprofit, Young Leaders of America, is all about connecting young professionals with leadership and career preparedness opportunities. So I've been building a list of mentors here on the Treasure Coast. If you're interested in getting involved, you can email us. You can find us on social media at Young Leaders of America. Please reach out. We'd love to get connected with you. And I'm just building a list of mentors so that I can offer that to different students, and then they can get a read on if that's an industry that they actually want to pursue. They can like dip their toes in the water, see if that's something they're interested in before committing to getting an education. And I'm not saying, college is a all-out scam, but I am attending college right now and I've had quite a few issues, and just enduring what I really would have appreciated a program like that where I could have had those opportunities to get, you know, a little bit more of a read on what I'm going into. And so I didn't have to commit to going and getting education at college. And so I have access to different courses and curriculums that the founders are allowing me to platform, and so students can use those as resume builders, and then they can get connected with a mentor in that respective industry that they're interested in pursuing. And then they can go full steam ahead, see if that's what they want to pursue. And then, those people can act as their mentor, and then they can guide them into making the right decisions that will be fruitful to them in the calling that God has upon their specific lives. So I'm very excited about that. It's going to be extremely individualized. I'm getting my website built now. So we're going to be really rolling it all out in July. So I'm extremely excited about that.
That sounds really, really amazing, because when people go to college, they see the counselors, but the counselors really don't offer what it sounds like you're offering, a mentor. Like they go in and they talk to you about your classes. I know I went in and, what is good for you, what is bad for you, but a mentor kind of walks you through the steps as somebody that you can talk to and say, "Hey, this is happening." It's more, you have more of a contact with your mentor than you really do with a counselor on the college campus where you have to make an appointment, and it's nice to have that
Absolutely.
mentor. That's a great idea.
Yeah, just like a relationship. That's what it's all about for me, because a lot of my networking opportunities and connections I've had has just been through the relationships I've had with others and specifically with my mentors. And it was just God how I've been able to find those people. But if I can kind of connect, young professionals with those people in those industries, I love to do that so then they can have that relationship, and then they have their best interests in mind and can help guide them as they make the next right choice for them specifically. I want it to be extremely individualized and just personal to them and their calling that they have.
Yeah, and that's networking too. The mentors will help you learn how to do that networking, and networking really connects you. It's like a map. It connects you here,
Yeah,
connects you there, and through all these connections, it helps you to evolve into something better and greater, kind of like yourself. You've met a lot of mentors, a lot of people,
I
and
really have.
yeah, and you found your passion doing that. You thought you were gonna be a butcher, and here you
I
are. We're talking
know.
politics. Okay, tell us the next news because I almost spilled it out.
The next news is I am Representative Dana Trabulsi's campaign manager as she runs for House District 84. So I am extremely excited about that.
And here is Dana Trabulsi. What really drove you to that? What was the magnetism there that led you to do this?
Well, it was just such a God thing, as all things are in my life, I feel. But I've been interning under the Congressman Brian Mast campaign. And so I've just been able to network a lot there. And just, I've had so many connections. I door knock and petition like crazy. And a lot of people love that because I'm young and they're always looking for young people to go and do those things. But I've been connected with Dana in the past. And it was just such a blessing because some of our county commissioners are close with her, and so that was just everything just worked together so well. And me and her are very like-minded when it comes to education and all of the moves she's making there. And I've just been so blessed to get to know her, get to know her heart more, and the initiatives that she is going to further, hopefully, in her final term in the Florida legislature.
Yeah, so it looks like she has several endorsements already.
Yep.
Yep, and so you align with her values and what she's talking about politically. What is affecting the younger generation today? What are they focused on when it comes to political um, needs? What they want to see from our government? What is that?
I'm seeing more and more, and I think we all kind of are when it comes to, housing. Prices are through the roof, and I'm seeing that definitely be something that identifies with the younger audience as we were getting to the age of home ownership. And I think that just naturally comes with the territory. The older you get, the more inclined you are to be civically engaged because the policies are affecting you personally, and you're seeing that how that plays out in your own life. So you're naturally just going to be more civically engaged and political minded. And so now that my generation, Gen Z, is coming to that age and they're starting to start families, Lord willing, or they're starting to buy houses and transition from college into the workforce, that's just something that's, definitely ringing their alarms. And so I think it's kind of we're at a place that I'm seeing right now is people are either all in or all out of politics. And so I'm hopeful that, and I don't think that you need to be super committed to politics. That's kind of my thing. But you can be in a middle ground. You can be, discerning of who you elect into office. You can educate yourself, and you don't need to want to run for office yourself. But I think everyone should be civically engaged, voting, encouraging others to vote. Being engaged in some way with your local politicians and office holders because it's important. They're the ones that influence you the most. If you look at local government and state government, they're really who affect you. It's not so much the federal. The federal looks like it as a whole, like it's so, you know, people think it's so predatory and they're coming for you. But really you need to pay attention to those in the local and state legislator. So I think that's where my battle is there. And I think that's definitely where the younger generation is and where we need to be more educated and inclined to listen and just get involved.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying about being more state and local because states, they have the right to put laws in place, and they can put some laws in place that are not constitutional and constitutional. And we need to understand that civic part ourselves so that we know what our battle is,
Absolutely.
because it can be emotional, but that's the reason our Constitution is so beautiful and, different than anybody else's, is because you're supposed to have the opportunity to reflect and think, and it's not supposed to be something that happens emotionally. You don't want to make emotional decisions because emotional decisions aren't aren't rational decisions sometimes.
Right.
So we have all those checks and balances that are supposed to be playing out, but at the same
Yep.
time we don't see it happening sometimes,
I
right?
know, I know. It's such a disservice.
Yeah, so, I was looking up Tribulsi's, score, and she's actually doing pretty good in Florida compared to some of the other representatives in Florida. She's in the 70s where most of them are in, like, 65%, so she's doing pretty good compared to a lot of the others, and I looked at some of her issues, and I was like, "You know what? She's pretty good. She's a good representative." So, congrats to you picking
Thank
someone
you.
to back up that's gonna do some justice, and Port St. Lucie needs it because that's Port St. Lucie is in
I know.
District 84,
Yep.
and Port
Yep.
St. Lucie was one of the counties that during COVID that just had you wearing masks, and they were just so unconstitutional over there, and we need
I
a
know.
good representative, in that county, so,
I
yeah,
know, and
thank
she actually, she started running in 2020, so it was or right around that time. So when she ran for, her first term in the House of Representatives, it was right around COVID, and she saw that happening and went, "No way."
Mhm. No way, It just was I think it kinda was a test run to see what people would put up with.
Yeah.
How would people allow them to control them? I think
Mhm.
that's kind of what it was. So where's everybody, your generation on TPUSA topics and issues that they are, heading up on their boards?
I'm seeing So I've been involved. So a little funny thing how God worked out is I was able to get connected to multiple schools here on the Treasure Coast. And so I've had the privilege of getting to go and speak for those schools and then
Wow.
helping them start their own Turning Point USA chapter. And then I get them connected with Turning Point Faith Resources so then they can host those biblical citizenship courses or other courses that they offer. And then they as a chapter can grow in their own knowledge of how to be civically engaged and how to do that from a biblical perspective because that's what our nation was founded upon, biblical values and principles. And so that has just been such a blessing. And so I've seen more and more just with the controversies coming around with just politics as a whole. I feel like we're really divided and this is a contentious time, as we're approaching the
Mhm.
midterms. I've just seen like so much about that, so much about who's going to be taking these different seats, just a lot of just interesting dialogue about that. And so that's been really interesting to watch from a turning point perspective and just be able to register others to vote and get, more youth civically engaged.
Are these high schools that you're going to? Are there any middle schools being head up with TPUSA yet?
Yes. So I've spoken at a couple of high schools, but also they have middle school attendees so that they can get involved. They just can't hold any leadership positions. So the high schoolers head it up, but middle schoolers are still involved in getting the same exact content as the high schoolers.
So that's really good because you have to get like a teacher to sponsor it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
So
So
you can
that's
host it in a
hard.
classroom. Yeah, and in one of the schools, Masters Academy, they're so wonderful. They had me come back twice. They had me speak once during chapel, and then one of the teachers invited me to speak to her junior class. So that was just wonderful. And one time I got to speak about Turning Point, and then the second time I got to speak about Club America and my nonprofit. So it's just like so wonderful getting to see all of those different individuals and what they want to pursue and what their unique opinions are when it comes to politics and what they want to pursue and what matters to them. So it's been such a blessing to get to meet all of those different people from all walks of life.
Are you aware of the Christian classical school that's going to be opening up here in Indian River County? They're going to be building a classical school
Really? What
south
is
of
it?
Oslo. It's called, I want to say it's called the Christian Classical School. Um,
Oh,
But I was just sharing that with you to see if you knew because in a few years that building will be built and that would be a perfect place for
I
TPUSA.
love it. Absolutely, classical learning. I think that's great. I'd love to get connected with them. I was homeschooled through classical conversations, so
Oh,
classical learning is super close to my heart, and that like honestly made me thrive and become the person I am today. And because there were so many public speaking opportunities and presentation opportunities, that helped me get more involved with politics because I already kind of knew how to speak and how to engage with others and I wasn't as shy as some people are. So I love classical learning. So I would love to get connected with them and help them establish a turning point down the road.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I saw you speaking, I think it was Jackie Rosario. She had like a little video, and I was like, "She's how old?" I
Oh, Miss
couldn't
Jackie,
believe
I
it. I
love
was
her
like, "Oh my
dearly.
God, she is so well dressed. She looks like a grown woman." I mean, she's how old? You're very
Oh,
articulate. So I was very
thank
impressed. I
you.
was like, "Oh, this is great. We need more young people like this." And times would change, we would turn the tides because our schools have been indoctrinated and,
Sadly,
yes.
and I'm seeing it even from my college level. I go to a Christian university and I'm seeing indoctrination rampant, and it is very discouraging, but I'm very
Wow.
hopeful for reformation there and reformation in many Christian schools because sadly during I think it was around the 2020 era, it's just so many Christian schools were declining because of the leadership. So I'm hopeful that now I'm seeing a lot of those different institutions have leadership from actual Christians, and those people are now heading it up. That I'm hoping for reformation, and so I'm very excited to see that in my
Mm.
lifetime, happen, and so that they can cultivate a culture for the younger generation to thrive and have their own relationship with Christ.
Yeah, well, it's Christ is with us all the time. We just have to know how to find him and open our hearts to him and seek him, and he's there. He's around us all the
Amen.
time, and we are in that war of fighting good and evil, and we have to build our armies, just like Charlie Kirk was saying. Hey, Christians need to do what the Muslims are doing in America. They need to unite together and be strong
Yeah.
together, and you know build strong churches and stick together, and that's what we need to do.
Absolutely, we need to be unified, and, like, I see that, from the Christian part of politics, like the conservatives, it is so divided, and I think that can also be said for, like, the Republican Party. I feel like we're all fighting amongst ourselves, and if we kind of put aside our differences, focused on the topics that mattered, we're discerning there, called out when someone was going astray, we could be so much more unified and effective as, Christians and as a party. And so
Mm.
that's just something that I hope to see happen. But it's just been really discouraging lately to see, like, the dogfights going on. I wish we were just more unified. We're all on the same page and we're able to cast aside our differences more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the show. It's been great to have you on. I want to have you back on and find out more of
Yes.
what's going on, and come on and talk about the campaign trail. If you have an assistant that you want to bring on with you, that we can do that as well. Or, if you're mentoring somebody and you want to give them some airspace, bring them on, Tessa, because
I love
I
that.
just love what you're doing, and it gives me hope for the upcoming generation because life is so much more difficult for the younger people today.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to break for a commercial, and then I'll be back to talk about FISA.
We're going to stop the whole world for 2 minutes, twice. Two different moments, two historical moments. First, we will gather everyone in Christian ministry from the pastors to the janitors in every church and ministry from the 194 nations to pray for America all at the same moment in time for the first time ever on July 3rd on the eve of America's 250th birthday. To then kick off the global signup of 2 billion believers led through the unique app technology for one singular global moment of awakening on November 1st, 2026, All Saints Day, a Sunday, 2 days before America's elections. The global Christian ministry leaders and servants leading the world to a seminal moment in American history. The moment the entire world stops to pay America back by praying for America for 2 minutes.
All right, guys, that's two for America. Put the app on your phone and join us to pray for America on July 3rd and November on July 3rd and November 3rd, All Saints Day. Please do that. It's going to light up on this big Tron in a field, and it will show all of the cities that light up in prayer for America. And that's across the country, that's across the world. So I wanted to just bring a few videos regarding FISA because FISA, 7 people voted against FISA, and I don't understand why we're not being stronger on FISA. FISA is the bill that the the policy that the Biden regime um, spied on Americans, and we don't want FISA to have that ability to do that, and that's why this is a contentious bill. We want to be able to spy on foreigners that are dangerous to our country, but we don't want to spy on American citizens. We don't want that to happen at all. So I just wanted to show you a little representation of Rick Scott talking about FISA, Massey talking about FISA, and Charlie Kirk talking to Massey about FISA if you don't understand what FISA is.
You're one of 7 Republicans who also voted no on a procedural vote to extend FISA. So what were your issues and what needs to change to get your support?
Well, first off, we all want to extend FISA.
Right.
I don't know anybody that doesn't believe we should surveil foreigners, right? What we want to make sure is we don't get Americans surveilled. Under Biden, I think something like 3 million Americans were surveilled. I was. After January 6th, I was surveilled. They released my tax return. The company that did that, Booz Allen's, never been held accountable. During the Clinton years, they targeted my company because I was against Hillary Care. So this is going on all across the country. This has got to stop. No one's ever been held accountable. So all we're asking for is some accountability. If one didn't fire somebody that does the wrong thing. They're doing the wrong thing. Don't surveil Americans. It's illegal. Number 2 is let's have a warrant requirement. Have some standard to where it's not just people doing it and then nobody gets held accountable. We say, yeah, it's important. It is important to surveil foreigners, but it is important not to surveil Americans.
Yeah, we're constantly being surveilled. We're surveilled in the streets, in the grocery stores, down the block, at a red light. We are being surveilled on our TV sets, on our phones. How many times have you talked about a topic and then it shows up on your phone? We are under constant surveillance, and it shouldn't be that way. And FISA just opens the door to more surveillance.
I rise in opposition to this clean reauthorization of a unconstitutional program that's being used to spy on Americans without warrants. This would be the 3rd temporary clean extension of this unconstitutional program. And I find myself on the unfortunate opposition to the chairman of the committee of jurisdiction, the distinguished gentleman from Ohio. I'm going to read some of his quotes from last year. This is an article in the Washington Post that he so eloquently wrote. 1 year from now, Republicans and Democrats in Congress will have a chance to reaffirm our commitment to the Constitution and better protect the Americans from warrantless government surveillance. This will be one of the most important debates we will have this Congress, and it's vital that we begin working now to protect Americans' constitutional rights. He goes on to say, our fidelity must always be to the Constitution. The Fourth Amendment is one of the foundations of American civil liberties. It is part of what makes our country great and makes us the envy of the world. We must continue to protect and enhance it. Passing a warrant requirement for Section 702 will do just that. He goes on to tweet later, or earlier than that. The same people who spied on President Trump's campaign are now fighting against a warrant requirement in the new FISA bill. Makes you wonder.
That was Jim Jordan.
I find myself disagreeing with the chairman in this debate, but agreeing vehemently with him last year and the year before when he pointed out this program is unconstitutional and there's only one way to fix it: require warrants, judicial warrants. And we saw the president's administration tweet this week that we shouldn't trust these liberal judges in Washington, D.C. to hamstring the Secretary of Defense. Well, that's not what we're talking about. Number one, we're not talking about a constraint on the Secretary of Defense. We are talking about, or Secretary of War, we are talking about a constraint on the FBI to spy on Americans. And we're not talking about liberal judges. 8 of the 11 Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court judges were appointed by Republicans. And by the way, most of them aren't even in D.C. And with that, I yield back to the distinguished gentleman and appreciate.
Gentleman from Kentucky yields back. Gentleman
Yeah, everything he said, Jim Jordan, those statements that he was reading was from Jim Jordan. And I love how Jim Jordan fights back, but sometimes you just don't get enough results from those fights. And here's another argument on FISA.
What happened? What would cause somebody to flip from fighting hard in a committee to all of a sudden having the deciding vote as speaker? Was he an imposter all along?
I'm coming to that conclusion. I don't think his family's locked up in the basement somewhere, being tortured. Those claims are ridiculous. I don't even believe that he went in a skiff and learned something that we don't know, because I spent 3.5 hours in the skiff with Mike Johnson. Remember, I'm on the Judiciary Committee, and I got the same briefing he got from CIA, NSA, DOD, FBI, DNI, FISA judge. They were all in that skiff. It was actually a 4-hour meeting. After 3.5 hours, I said, this is enough. This is a waste of time. You haven't given us one example of where spying on Americans without a warrant was able to help you avert terrorism. They gave us hypotheticals, and then they gave us examples of how spying on foreigners overseas without a warrant was helpful. But they never gave us an example. So don't believe his story that he went to the skiff and he learned something. That's not true.
So, but I'm just shocked. I haven't heard anyone say that as crisply as you has. I want to repeat that. You were in the same skiff as Speaker Johnson, because I got really fired up at Speaker Johnson on this vote, and I called him and I texted him, and he was arguing from authority with me, Congressman, saying, Charlie, if you were in the skiff like I was, you would understand. And I literally have this in writing. You think innocent Americans will die if we require the FBI to get a warrant? Question mark. I do. So how did what did he hear that you didn't hear in this song and dance 4-hour struggle session in the skiff?
Yeah, it was a struggle session. It was like a brainwashing session. And here's the thing, Charlie. When you go into a skiff, remember, most congressmen are used to having two things with them that allow them to verify something if they're being told a lie. Number one, they usually have their smartphone with them.
And their staff.
And their staff. Exactly. Those two things you are deprived of. So if you are deprived of those two things and any connection to anybody for 3 or 4 hours, you kind of start believing what they're saying, and you think, well, maybe they'll let me out of this skiff if I just nod my head and succumb to the pressure. But and Mike Turner was in there. He's chair of Intel. It was basically the Mike Turner show. He got to show us. He had every tool at his disposal, every prop, every representative from the agencies, and still couldn't compel us, of the members of the Judiciary Committee, because that's what it was, and Mike Johnson was there, to vote for this. And, maybe Mike got some extra special briefing, but if there's an extra special briefing, he needs to tell us about us and have us get the extra special briefing. On the subject of Ukraine, he encouraged me to go in the skiff again, and I said, I'll go in the skiff on one condition. You go in with me, because I'm going to ask them questions that need to be asked. And also, it's a total waste of time, Mike. You know that, and he agreed with me. He actually, to me, he will agree that going into the skiff on FISA for those 3.5 hours was a total waste of time.
Well, he told the population, and he said this privately and publicly, that if every member went in the skiff, they would also vote for FISA. You went into it, and this is what the intel agencies do. We'll talk about this after the break. Is they do this song and dance. It's rooted in fear. They'll always meander. It's tons of abstractions. And by the way, anything Mike Turner supports, you should inherently vote against. That guy is a warmonger. He is rooted in doublespeak. He is not someone that I would trust at all. If it's the Mike Turner show, it might as well be the Adam Schiff show, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, please, really quick.
Yeah, to that point, real quick, there were 3 people who Max donated to my primary opponent in 2020. Adam Kinzinger, gone. Liz Cheney, gone. Mike Turner, still in.
And Liz Cheney turned on the Republican Party.
Now, I can still get along with him. We have reasonable discussions, but just to your point, go against whatever Mike Turner's
for.
Just vote against Mike Turner. That guy's a waste of rations. So, Congressman, let's get to the third chapter in this you call betrayal this weekend. How did we all of a sudden go from the speaker saying no Ukraine money without border security money to a bunch of Ukrainian flags flying in such a short period of time?
So I just wanted you to listen to that on FISA to understand. I know there's a lot of young adults out there getting involved in politics. Learn what's going on. They have a bill out there. I don't know if it passed yet. I'll have to go and research it. But my husband told me about it and I thought there's no way. There's no way. And there is a bill out there for the new cars that get built. That the new cars will decide whether you're able to drive your car or not. I'm going to have to look that up and post it so that you guys can see it because it just sounds so unreal. It's not funny. But yeah, it's out there. And we have to fight this and FISA, FISA was used in the Biden regime to go against citizens. I mean, they remember when they called Moms for Liberty or parents fighting for kids like terrorists. I mean, can you imagine going in and arresting parents? I mean, they did that with the J6ers. They arrested a little old lady and surveilled her and all she did was go in and pray and come out. I mean, it's I laugh about it because it's absolutely ridiculous where our nation is going and we have to learn about these bills and we have to be able to contact our representatives when people are running for office at our state and local level, find out what their issues are and how they understand those issues. And do they feel comfortable with Americans being surveilled? I always ask my candidates that run for sheriff, how do you feel about the red flag laws? And I understand what the red flags laws do. They violate 7 of our constitutional amendments. 7, not 1, not 2, not 3. I've said this before. So it's important to understand what it does in the sense. And a lot of people say, "Well, that'll never happen to me." You don't know that. Don't ever say never because the world is becoming a more violent place to live. It's becoming more challenging to survive in. Just our younger adults are having a harder time getting homes, getting married, having kids at a young age. Shoot, they're getting married later and having kids at a later age than we ever would have imagined when I was growing up. So times are changing, and there will be times where people will want to carry more firearms to protect themselves. Why? Because the world is becoming an unpredictable, um, chaotic place. People don't protest anymore to peacefully protest. You got protesters out there that become violent, that become hateful towards people, that have strong opinions and with no proof. And they stereotype people all the time. If you're a Republican, some people say you're racist just because you're a Republican. So it's a very difficult place for our younger adults to grow up in. The next thing I wanted to cover is our redistricting because, of course, we need to make sure that we get out and vote. Our primaries here in Florida, Indian River County, are from August 8th to August 15th, and the election day for the primaries is August 18th. I would really love to see us blow it out of the water, everybody actually take part in the primaries. And the tough thing about Florida is it's a closed primary. So if you have a Republican and a Democrat running against each other, the independents lose their vote unless they change their party so they can vote. And what happens is it pushes that Republican and that Democrat forward. But what you want to do is you want to push the party forward that closely aligns with your values and your constitutional understanding and values. So, to switch your vote means you're going to have a voice for that election instead of being kicked out of the election. And then switch it back. Switch it back to your party so that your party gets credit during the general election. I know there's some groups out there that are Like there's one called America First. That is another party. There's the Conservative Party, the Constitutional Party, the Green Party. A lot of parties out there. I never knew we had so many, but we need your vote. The NPAs, we need your vote. We need you to participate and really get in the game. So, what I wanted to do next is show you the redistricting that took place. If you look to the right, this is how the redistricting took place. That khaki color, tan khaki color, are all the counties in that color. On the left side, in color, you can clearly see the counties labeled. So we have Indian River County, which is closer to the water. And then as you move in from the water, you have Osceola County and a little sliver, if you go north, a little sliver of Orange County. And then if you go left and down from Osceola County, we have a small chunk of Polk County. And below that, you see the two counties divided, split up with a crack. That's Highlands and Okeechobee County. And the very bottom one is Glades County. So to announce those in order from top down would be a sliver of Orange County, Osceola, a small chunk of Polk, Highlands, Okeechobee, Indian River County, and Glades. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 7 counties. Now that's 5 whole counties and 2 little slivers of 2 counties, which would be Polk County and Orange County. So right now, the representative for District 9 is Soto, and Soto is a Democrat. So if your values are not aligning with Democrat, please change your party and help push that Republican over into the general election. We've got a lot of people running for office, so check it out. Look at all their pages, find where they've done interviews. I'm trying to bring them on to Binford Chronicles. We've already had Mike Dilks, who's running for 58, but he's not District 8. He's not running for District 8, District 9. But we're trying to bring candidates on. So that's for County Commission on the board report, which is through IRC Media, which I also host with Thomas Kenny, John Karapi, and we try to bring those local candidates to that space to give them an opportunity to share what they want to do as representatives. Also, Binford Chronicles. So if you want to come on to Binford Chronicles and you're running for office, let me know and we'll set it up and bring you on board. So that is what the district looks like. The left side is color, the right side is the khaki that encompasses all 7 of those counties. And just get out there and vote. I want to thank you again for joining me on Binford Chronicles. I loved having Tessa Toman. We're going to bring her back because she's got a lot going on and she is a great influence for the young generation. And she's going to empower younger people to be able to stand up and feel confident about speaking their truth and defending the country that they love so much that they want to raise their kids in, they want to have a family, they want to have a great America, kind of like what we grew up in. So Binford Chronicles is every Thursday from at 7 p.m. I host on IRC Media's The Board Report on Fridays at 7 p.m. We have Binford, we have, excuse me, actually tonight we have the Conspiracy Club at Filthy's, and they will be done by 8 o'clock today. So you can also go to Filthy's on Thursdays. And if you have any conspiracies you want to talk about on the show, it's right there live in Filthy's. It's a great place to meet people. I know we were giving out our T-shirts, our 250-year birthday of America T-shirts. We were giving those, selling those out, and at Filthy's as well today. My partners are over there working that show. And go to IndianRiverConnections.com so that you can connect with other podcasters on that page. Again, thank you for joining us here at Binford Chronicles. Send us your tips, your ideas. If you want to be a guest, just email me at tpvllc.pm.me, and that stands for The Perfect Vision is Living Life Courageously. Have a good evening.